G'day guys, welcome to episode 22 of the Pressure Point podcast. I'm joined with my co-host Quinn DeLuca. How are you, mate?
Good, mate. It's good to see you again. How you been?
Yeah, been well, mate. Been well. Just another Zoom chat for us. It's I think it's been about a month or so now, hasn't it? Doing these Zoom things.
It's been about that. Just another day in ISO, getting by.
That's it. But very excited for this episode though. We've got a very special guest on. We've got one of the best local footballers going around. A Dingley Junior, a Sandringham Dragon, a Box Hill Hawk, a season in the Waffle, Noble Park royalty, a Frankston Dolphins superstar, and a TV star on the Recruit, Jackson Sketcher. Welcome to the Pressure Point podcast.
Thanks for having us, boys. Pleasure.
No worries, mate. It's a fair resume, which I just read out, but we'll start right from the start. So tell us about your early memories, your junior footy with Dingley, and pretty much right from the start, and we'll go from there.
Started off playing Auskick down at Dingley, which I think was 7 or 8 years old, and then worked my way through the junior ranks up to under 15s. I think I always played a year above because I'm a Feb baby, so played a year above, and then jumped over to Noble Park and played my age group from under 15s, 16s, and then went through the TAC Cup system back then. Dingley was a good starting point for me. Made some good mates. Obviously, still got some very close mates there as well. Went to school at Chout High, which seemed to be the go-to if you played footy at Dingley. It was either there or Parky. And then, made my way through the TA Cup system and played a couple of years there. And then, through the VFL system at 3 or 4 clubs, which was, jumped around a little bit back then, with a year over in the Waffle, which was a good experience as well. And now, like you said, Noble Park for the last 4 years full time, which has been good. And looking a bit spewing about this year, not going ahead, but I think everyone is.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. As you said, you've been to a few different clubs, but one in particular, the Box Hill Hawks. So tell us about your time there, and some of the players that you rubbed shoulders with, and some of the players you played with there.
Yeah, that was my first year out of the TAC Cup system, so I was still pretty raw. And coming out of the TA Cup system, I thought that I was going to be a starting midfielder in the Box Hill Ones team, and reality soon hit. Played majority of the year in the twos, and sort of didn't really have the attitude and mindset to or required for VFL standard, and it showed in my performances. But throughout that year, back then there was VFL twos as well. So like a Luke Bruce played the first 5 games in the twos. That was the first year he got picked up. And obviously he's probably our most, I'm a Hawthorn supporter, so he's probably our most valuable player these days. We played in the twos flag that year, and Sam Menegola played in that, who's obviously doing good things at the Cats now. Geordie Lyle played in that. He was on Hawthorn's list for a couple of years. Ben Stratton and who was the other one? Ben Stratton actually played in the prelim, who's obviously now Hawthorn's captain, because that's when Hawks were obviously winning all their flags. And the Hawks ones had a bye, so he had to play in the twos with us, and Box Hill ones weren't actually in the finals. So he just needed to get some fitness. So he played a half in the prelim for us, which was pretty good back then. But being a Hawthorn nuffy, it was good to rub shoulders with a few of those blokes down there. And I got to train with the Hawks for a couple of weeks as well, which was a good experience.
Yeah, you just listed some serious talent there. That must have been awesome. And you mentioned earlier you played a little bit in the Waffle. What was your experience like playing footy in WA? How did it compare to footy in Victoria? Is it similar, or how'd you go?
Well, the weather certainly helps, and the bigger ground, so it was pretty much perfect footy. I don't think I ever played a game over there, or I think I worked it out. I trained 3 times in the rain over there and didn't play any wet games over there. it was sort of the dream come true.
It's so good.
Yeah, and it's obviously a bit less bruise-free footy with the bigger ground, so it's a lot more one-on-one. So I actually enjoyed the footy a lot more than I do it over here, both at local and VFL level, because you just don't get the space over here. But it is a different brand of footy, and certainly a lot more enjoyable. Sorry.
I'll tell you what, I wouldn't mind playing a couple of games without getting rained on every weekend. That sounds like a dream. I feel like we definitely have to touch on it a little bit. You were on The Recruit, the TV show, a few years back. There was obviously some big names attached to that. What were you able to learn from, blokes like Ben Dixon, Barry Hall, Mick Malthouse? What were the biggest things you took away from that?
Well, probably before that, I probably thought that I was doing the work, but the reality was I wasn't. So if there's anything that I could take away from that show, was the work rate required to obviously be as elite as possible. And looking back, especially when I was 19, first year in VFL, I thought that talent was going to get me where I wanted to be, but the reality is it just doesn't. Everyone's got talent at that level. That's just how you obviously apply yourself, and that's the difference between a lot of good players and the next lot. So just work rate I took out of that, and I wish I got taught those lessons when I was 18, because things might be a little bit different. But I suppose you live and learn.
Yeah, sure. What was it like, especially with Mick Malthouse there? I mean, he's a pretty revered figure in the AFL, and one of the best coaches of all time. What was it like working with him?
Yeah, obviously you're in awe, especially at the start, because his resume speaks for itself. From a coaching perspective, he was more of a mentor or like a father figure while we were in the show, because you couldn't really talk tactics or any of that. It was more ranting and raving about trying to get the best out of ourselves, and lean on him for support rather than and mentoring, I suppose. Dicko was probably on the flip side. He was more working towards your strengths and not your weaknesses. So he's obviously really good at identifying that, which he helped me the most probably from that show, knowing what I was good at, because there's a lot of people, when I was 18, 19, I was probably just good at most things, where you need the reason why people get picked up is because they're really good at one or two things, which is going to separate you from the bloke next to you. So trying to work out what that was, which he helped you, and then just working on that strength of yours to hopefully try to get to where you want to get to, I suppose.
Absolutely. Wouldn't notice, or actually watched an episode yesterday when the delistings happened. How nervous were you when like all the boys are going to pass out every time? It looked pretty nerve-wracking.
Yeah, you did shit yourself every time, because even when you weren't in the bottom three, you didn't want one of your mates to go. So it was, it was pretty nerve-wracking, but all part of the parcel, I suppose.
Now, one of the best things I heard you say on that show is you once told Mick Malthouse that you used to eat about 12 party pies when you'd get home from school. Has that transcended into your adult life? Do you still smash party pies after work?
I don't mind a party pie. They are, you can't not like a party pie, I believe. So, especially when you cut a bit of cheese and put it on underneath the top with a bit of sauce, can't go wrong. But have them every now and again. But I've certainly trimmed down a lot, and obviously just the education side of it, both what I can and can't eat, and then obviously the work rate behind it as well, which is, like I said before, the biggest thing that I took out of it. But I still enjoy my food. Don't get me wrong.
Did you have to get in shape to go on the show at all? Like, did you have to really hit certain KPIs to get on it?
No. So the process, it took about 3 months. So you needed to send in like your CV of footy, pretty much. Send in a couple of stupid videos of your personality, because at the end of the day, it is a TV show, so they need to make sure you're not a drip, I suppose.
Yeah.
And then from there, there's obviously in your best interest to get on the show as fit as possible. But I was I'm naturally like an okay runner, so I thought I was doing the work, but when I got on there, I was still a long way behind the 8 ball. So I ended up losing like 8 kilos while I was on the show in 3 months.
Fucking
Yeah,
hell.
but
Okay.
yeah, but I thought I was fit going into it, and then looking back now, it's just stupid.
Yeah,
I was
sounds
a long way behind
crazy.
the 8 ball. Yeah.
Are you still mates? Or do you still keep in contact with any of the boys in the recruits? Did you make any mates out of it, or?
Yeah, Van Noonan, I'm real close with. He actually lives 5 minutes up the road. He's actually having a kid today, so good luck to him and his missus. But yeah, he's probably the closest. He played footy at, me and him were roommates as well, so that helps. And he played at Vermont the year that he was on it. So obviously we had that relationship, obviously played against him. So he's now at Wandon. But yeah, still keep in contact with him on a daily basis. And the other one's probably Jaden, who lives up in Broken Hill, the old fella. He's like best mates with Tex. So he speak to him probably once a month, but yeah, other than that, not really of any of the boys.
Yeah, nice one. In terms of like AFL clubs, having a chat to you, obviously they would have, watching the show and everything. Did you get much interest post the show or during it, or what was the situation around that?
Well, the show was, I think we started filming in like it might have been March. So we started in March, went for 3 months. So we missed like the first 7 or 8 games of like local footy. And then when you come out of it, I finished 4th in the end. And when you come out of it, they do a top 3, and those top 3 are to go on and play state league footy. And because I come 4th, they announce the top 3, and then at the end of this footy season, they do a live show, and that's when they announce the winner. But for those 3 blokes to obviously put their best foot forward, they need to go play local state league footy and obviously showcase what they got. And then the AFL clubs can obviously scout based on their performances in the VFL. So the show also suggested that I go play VFL again as well. Just why not, you know what I mean? So I ended up going to Frankston with Jordan Chalor, who ended up finishing 3rd, and then Matty Eagles and Daniel, who ended up coming 1st and 2nd, went to North Ballarat. So I played there from, I think, round 9 to the rest of the year at Frankston, and had a good year. And then towards the end of the year, ended up having some chats with clubs, but I suppose, that make it on a list or you don't. So to determine whether I was close or not, I don't know. But I still played some good footy towards the end of that year. But just from what I learned from the recruit helped heaps, because I was obviously a lot lighter, a lot leaner, and was working on my strengths rather than my weaknesses.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. Yeah. How was that experience with the Dolphins? I mean, was that what I mean, just before they were out of the competition briefly, was it?
Yeah, it was the year they got the arse.
Yeah, that's right.
We actually just got paid for that that last bit during the week. So, went down there with Paddy, because obviously I know Paddy from around the traps, and he was at Box Hill when I was there as well. So, because I didn't do a pre-season anywhere, it was sort of like, I called him round 7 of the VFL and said, "Hey mate, is it sweet if I come down to Frankston?" And he said, "Yeah, sweet." So, went down there halfway through the season, fit as a fiddle, and hadn't really played too many games other than the games throughout the recruit. But yeah, it was probably good, because I reckon if you do a full VFL pre-season, it can sort of mentally get hard, because you're there 3 days a week from starting November to obviously drag on January, February, March, and then where I sort of missed that. And it was good. So I sort of got there and I was fresh as a fiddle, both mentally and physically. So I think that helped with the last 8 or 9 games I played in the VFL. But so it was a good experience down at Frankston. But I played there before anyway, so I still knew a few of the boys down there, which helped.
Yeah, for sure. Well, talk to us about your last 2-3 years at Noble. I mean, you one of the best players down there, and it's a pretty strong competition, a really strong club. What's the experience like? The last couple of years at least. I know you've been there a while, but here and there. But what's it been like the last couple of years anyway?
Yeah, we're certainly building towards something. When I first got to Noble when I was 18, because when I was at Box Hill, I still played a few games local for Noble. I think I played 4 throughout the year, and that year they won the flag. That was 2011. So back then they were an absolute powerhouse, and it was good learning off the senior players then, who have obviously moved on now. So I've sort of taken over that responsibility, being 28 and I suppose 29 next year, as much as I still feel young at heart. But I suppose as you get older, you see the young blokes now coming through that you were once upon a time, and it goes pretty quick though. But it's certainly a good level of footy. There's some good players running around in Eastern Premier these days, so the competition's always very hard, and you never got an easy day, whether you're playing the last team or whether you're playing the team just above you. So we haven't made finals the last couple of years, which have been a bit disappointing, but we're looking all right this year. But we got a new coach, Steve Hughes, who also coached Springer Districts, which he's a ripper fella and got a good system in place. So hopefully we're leaning towards something bigger soon to come.
Yeah, nice one, mate. Nice. So what is the plan now with footy? I mean, is the mature age dream still alive, or you're happy just you're gonna finish playing up at Noble the next few years, or what's the plan there?
No, that shit sailed, mate. 28, 29 next year.
Yeah.
Time to just enjoy myself and try win a flag at Noble, hopefully. I'll eventually finish up at Springer Districts, which was where I started and my old man played. But while I've still got a couple of good years of footy left in me, I'll make the most of it.
Yeah, love it, mate. That's good. Well, that's pretty much us done, mate, for this episode. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you on. It's greatly appreciated, mate, to get your story and to get real good footy stories like this one. So we really appreciate it, and thanks for coming on.
No dramas, boys. Good luck with it all.
No worries. Thanks, Sketch.
Thanks, mate.
Cheers, mate.
Cheers.
Pressure point! Pressure point! Pressure point! Pressure right! Pressure right!